Hey there, Barry William Magnity, your host of the Comeback Game podcast. In this episode, I speak with Sammi Jaegar of SammiJaegar.com, and we discuss the interesting dynamic between the CEO or the visionary and the general manager, the integrator. Now, Sammy's an expert in working with visionaries to embrace their unique skill set and wherever possible, step back from the day-to-day operations so they can play in their strengths and have someone else play in theirs too. One of the most interesting things that I see a lot when helping business owners to create a business that works without them is it's relatively easy to help them set up the systems, the processes, the team to build a business that works without them. Yet the thing that gets them stuck time and time again is the shift that they actually have to make as the visionary to enable their business to do just that. If you're in a business right now and you're wanting to grow, bring on more staff and build something that can work without you, this episode's absolutely going to be of benefit to you. Equally too, if you're in a business right now and you maybe feel like things are a bit out of control, or you feel like you're hitting a glass ceiling and trying to find a way through this, I'm sure you'll get a huge amount of value out of what me and Sammi speak about. Some of the key topics we discuss is the biggest challenges that we're faced with as a visionary and how to overcome them. Some of the main challenges that we have when trying to hire or find the right person to come in and steer the ship for us and with us, how to overcome them. And number three, the key attribute and trait that all business owners need to take on board, regardless of what stage of business you're at, to make the whole entire journey a lot more enjoyable. At the end of the episode, I'll give you an opportunity to connect with Sammi and find out more about what she does. But I want to ask you this, and that is, if you enjoy this episode, please make sure that you subscribe through thegamechangers.com.au/the comeback game website, whether it be on iTunes or Spotify. Please, if you've been following us for a long time and you enjoy these episodes, would absolutely love a 5-star review on one of those platforms as well. And if you enjoy this episode, please feel free to share it around, like it, comment it, let us know that you love it so we know that we're doing something right and we're adding value to you and to your business. Let's head over to this fantastic interview now. Hey, Sammi, welcome to today's call. Just for the guys out there, guys and girls listening, where are you dialing in from today?
Hey, Barry, thanks so much for having me. I am in Sydney today.
Excellent. Smoky Sydney, I understand at the moment.
Yeah, a little bit. The bridge has gone incognito.
Yeah, crazy. We actually just ran an event there, as I know that you know, and it was just ridiculous, the amount of smoke, and equally too how bad the bushfires are there at the moment. So hopefully Mother Nature will help out shortly and help kind of gain control of the fires again.
Yeah, that would be wonderful if she could bring some rain and soon get it back under control.
Let's chat today. There's an interesting conversation that happens often amongst our members, which is around this dynamic between the visionary, or more people would more formally know that as maybe the CEO or the owner of the company, and the integrator, which people might refer to more as, say, the general manager or CIO. Now, I understand that over your past few years, you've been helping visionaries to, I guess, turn their big ideas into plans. And this is a dynamic relationship that you've had direct impact and influence in. Let's start by kind of sharing a little bit around your background and how you got to be where you are today.
Yeah, cool. So I think I've always been an integrator. I just don't think I knew it. I don't think I knew that that was the skill set that I had, or the the secret sauce. So when I discovered the Traction book by Gino Wickman, like, it just blew my mind. I was like, oh my gosh, this is who I am. So I've had, I guess, what I kind of like to call like a cross-pollinated career. I've had the opportunity to work in quite a few different industries, and from the fitness industry to hospitality and events to recruitment to some government roles, and then most, in the last 3-4 years, working directly with business owners to accelerate their growth. So I've been able to learn lots of different pieces and approaches that different industries have to, solving problems. So I see that integrator role as the person who can allow the visionary to really bring that big idea to life by making all of the cogs turn in the right direction and nothing getting jammed up.
Yeah. It's an interesting dynamic because for my time in business, I see that the skill set that a visionary or an entrepreneur needs to get themselves to like the $1.2 million mark is usually where we see the transition, is very different to the skill sets and the behaviors and attributes required to get them to a $10 million company. In the earlier stages, it is a lot more around the hustle, failing fast, leaning into discomfort and doing a lot all at once just to see what works. Yet, at that $1.2 million mark, it's almost the complete opposite of what's required to get you to 10 million. And in many cases, will actually fail a company, which is why most businesses don't scale past $1 million. Out of curiosity, like, when do you feel is the right time to decide that, okay, I need to be hiring an integrator. Like, I need to be hiring that person who's going to help me to execute my projects, who's going to kind of keep the team rowing in the right direction so that I can focus more on the big picture stuff.
Yeah, honestly, in my experience, it's probably 12 months before the person realizes that they needed it. So they've been struggling for, I reckon, about 12 months before they go, yeah, I probably should have done this a year ago.
Yeah.
And that can be different markers for different businesses. It could be revenue, it could be their team size, it could be the number of moving parts or different dynamics in terms of the number of products that they're delivering, whether or not it's digital or face-to-face. Like, that can differ when it might be the right time. But any point where that visionary is spending more of their time operationally making other people get their thing done, play their role, it's probably time for them to delegate the delegation of other people to someone else.
Yeah.
So they can step out of managing and doing the marionette piece of everybody dancing so that they can play in their own space.
Yeah, it's an interesting dissection you just mentioned then, when the visionary is spending more of their time getting other people to do things than they are focusing, because I guess in those earlier phases of business, the visionary is spending a lot of their time doing the thing.
Yeah.
They haven't necessarily got a team, or if they've got a team, it's a small team, but they're still very much playing the role of, I guess, partly technician, meaning I'm doing the do, I'm delivering the product or the service or whatever that looks like, but I'm also now managing other people, but I'm not so much leading them yet. I'm kind of stuck still in a lot of the doing aspects, but I'm not yet in a position where I can start to delegate and oversee the delegation of those activities.
Yeah, and I think that's what you just touched on there is a real key difference between like management and leadership, right? Because that's quite a management granular sort of function, like do this, then do this, then do this, then do this, versus leading a team and allowing them to come up with do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. Because if you can create space for you to really be a leader and inspire people to get on board with whatever your big mission and idea is, then your team are embedded and they'll create those management processes that, means you don't have to granularly observe at each step.
Yeah. What do you think some of the biggest mistakes are? Very nicely put too. What do you think some of the biggest mistakes are that visionaries make in the business prior to hiring this integrator? And then the second part of that question is the biggest mistakes they make in hiring the integrator.
Yeah, I think before hiring the integrator, some of the big mistakes are what I kind of call like operational whiplash. Like those visionary people who have that personality type where they've got something that's so big and so inspiring and so exciting. There's generally probably like, a dozen other ideas a month that come up around that. So they start going, all right, that's the thing I'm going for. And then, wait, change direction. And now I'm going after that thing. Now I'm going after that thing. And the team's just struggling to, be the tail to that. And they're moving left and right and then left again. So that kind of operational whiplash where the team are just confused. Like, I think that's generally the problem that I see most with visionaries who haven't yet implemented an integrator. Someone who creates that buffer and that filter between every idea the visionary has and what the team should actually execute on.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because that's both a very resourceful trait of the visionary, is that shiny thing syndrome, because it keeps them innovating and always taking on board new concepts and ideas from the way that they see the world shows up for them. Yet it's also very unresourceful when you're trying to run a team.
Yeah, totally. But and I mean, that's so important. Like, that role is so important to have those ideas. I don't want to diminish that that at all by the hangover that comes with it. But the hangover can have far more impact than the big idea.
Yeah. It's interesting, the amount of entrepreneurs that I meet that are trying to do a million things at once and wondering why they're not at $1 million yet.
Yeah.
We talk about the kind of the 5 1s, which is, like finding one niche with one problem that you're often sold, one kind of way to communicate with them, one form of marketing, one conversion tool in 1 year. And if you follow the 5 ones, you can get to $1 million in a year. Yet you meet most entrepreneurs, they've got no idea of who their real market is. They've got a dozen different products they're trying to serve with them. They're trying to be everything to everyone and push content out and do SEO and do blogs and videos and Facebook and Instagram and everything else.
And then they've got 12 different ways to convert them.
12 different ways to convert them. None of it systemized, and wondering why they're stuck at, a quarter or $500,000 a year.
And not only that, but they changed it last month and the month before that and the month before that and the month before that.
Yeah. And before they changed, it was actually working, but they got impatient.
Yeah, they had one of those shiny big ideas.
Yeah. So what do you reckon is the biggest mistake when hiring someone in that position?
Yeah, I think really understanding what it is that you want to get out of having the integrator or having that general manager role. I mean, sometimes by the time that person's got to the stage where they're hiring and looking and exploring the idea of that role, they may already be a little bit out of love with their business. So I think there's a tendency to kind of hire or recruit an integrator and start to onboard them, and then just kind of shut down and go, well, that's not my problem anymore. That's not my problem anymore. That's what I got that person for, without really, I guess, bringing that integrator on board with their vision and how that fits together. They kind of just push it at arm's length almost too quickly. And then they sort of blame the integrator or the team for not integrating well with the integrator, when in fact they just took the reins, let go of the reins too quickly.
Yeah.
But they also need to be willing to let go of the reins, little bit by little bit by little bit by little bit, so that they can step out of the functional things that they shouldn't be doing, using their precious time on.
It's a very fine line. Like, having gone through that myself and having helped a lot of clients, it's a very fine line to having the integrator come in and it being a little bit too early, or being where the business owner is still micromanaging or wanting to control everything because it's their baby and they're so attached to the identity of their business, versus the other side where they maybe hire someone too late, or as you said, they get them in a little bit and they're like, okay, it's not my problem now. Dump everything on the integrator's desk and then wonder why their business fails to keep growing at the rate that it was, and then ultimately proves them right that no one else can do it but them.
Yeah.
It's a very, very fine line of being able to let go while still supporting that integrator to come through and help things grow.
And I think that comes back to the clarity of what it is you're trying to get out of having that integrator. Is it so that you can take your hands off? Is it so that you can spend more time in your creative big idea space? Is it so that you can, start building out another idea, another product, another concept? Like, why is it that you want that person? Is it just so that you can start to let go of the things that you really hate doing? Or is it so that you can lean further into the fun stuff that you do like doing? Because there is a difference.
Yeah.
So having that clarity about like why you're hiring that person and what what the outcome is. What does success look like for both that person and for the visionary?
Yeah.
And the team and the business.
Yeah. And I guess too though, like what success measures have you put in place? Like, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So what are the success measures that allow them to know that they're succeeding, and also allow you to know that they're succeeding and that they're getting up and running with their role, to allow you to actually take your hands more off the steering wheel and let them start to kind of steer the ship?
Yeah, totally. And I think most things really can be metriced if you think hard enough or creatively enough about how you want to measure something.
Yeah.
One of the visionaries that I worked quite intimately with, they were done with their business. They just needed a little bit of time and space, not forever, but for the upcoming future. They just needed a break. They needed to rein it back into a couple of days a week. So the metric was how many hours a week is that visionary not in the business. So it was, started with, okay, cool. We're going to get that visionary taking Monday mornings off, and then we're going to get them taking Friday afternoons off, and then compressing the week closer and closer and closer and closer, so that they could actually just stop, recharge, and fall back in love with the creative and fun parts of their business. They really just needed a break. So we just metriced the time away. The visionary had white space. Yeah.
Yeah. One challenge that I've seen, and we've helped people overcome a lot, is this shift that has to happen in identity. Like, it is actually relatively easy to set up the systems and the processes and all the infrastructure in a business to operate without the business owner being there. One of the difficult things, though, is the shift that has to happen in the business owner's mindset and their way of being, and even deeper than that, in the way that they're consciously and unconsciously identifying themselves to the business. There's actually a study that they did, I think it was in Harvard, where they took a brain scan of parents' brains, showing them a neutral object and then showing them a photo of their kids, and noticed what parts of the brain were stimulated and what happened to their brain. And they did the same study where they took an entrepreneur or business owner and they showed them a logo of their business. And what they found out is that the same parts of the brain fires in the same way as that does in our connection with our kids, which makes sense, right?
Yeah,
So you think about
me at all.
yeah. So you think about like parents, that first day you drop your child off to kindergarten, or the first day that your kid, goes out on a date with another man or a woman or a boy or girl, the first day they get their license and take off, or that party they stayed all night, all those different experiences that we go through as parents and how it makes us feel. Business owners go through the same experiences, hiring their first employee, taking their first weekend off. But one of the things that I've seen is most challenging is that shift where they can truly let go of their business and not sabotage the process. And what I mean by that is having someone come in and having done enough work with themselves and the way that they identify with their business consciously and unconsciously, that when that person comes in, they can be resourcefully supported to actually take on the business and steer the business without it being sabotaged to prove the business owner correct, which is like, oh, see, I knew that it needed me. I knew that I needed to the head salesperson or whatever that is.
And that's such an ego piece, isn't it? That needing to be needed by your business. That's hard. That's a big thing to break through for a lot of people.
Well, it relates to us with kids though too, right? Like parents, any parents where their last kid has left the house, like their final child has left the house, can understand how challenging that can be. They like the idea of their last kid leaving, but the reality of it happening and how they get felt afterwards with this bit of a hole inside, it's real. And it is for business owners as well. Like I've seen so many business owners that start to feel lost and depressed, have no idea what their life's about. They've built these amazing businesses. They finally get free. And then it's like, well, who am I?
Yeah. What is this freedom for? What do I do with this freedom if I'm not hustling in my business? Yeah. I think that's true of, not just business owners and entrepreneurs, but, people. Like if you don't have hobbies or interests or creative outlets, it's like, who are you other than, your role as a partner, or your role as an employee, or your role as a business owner, or whatever that might be. Like there's so many other layers to who you are as a human being. Like you got to kind of keep them all working together, right? Not let one get too big that the others start to get a little furry and you can't, really quite tell what they are anymore.
What do you feel are some steps? Like you mentioned one cool thing there around, the hobby aspect, and I can definitely relate to that. Like recently I decided at the start of the year through a conversation with my partner, I wanted to learn to play the guitar. And it's been incredible how quickly I've picked up the guitar in terms of learning to play it, because for so many years, all I ever focused on was business. And it wasn't just necessarily growing my business, it was helping others grow their business and the education around business, the education around mindset. But I actually think it's helped me to perform better in business, having a creative outlet. Like, what are some suggestions you'd have for business owners that are maybe in this transition phase right now, or maybe they've tried to make that leap and get someone in and it hasn't quite worked out for them? What do you think are some suggestions they can do to help that successful transition?
Yeah, that's such a cool question. I had an experience with a gentleman named Keith Abraham recently, and he's a specialist in setting goals for your life. Well, for all elements, but particularly around your life, and really connecting emotions to what it is that you're setting out to achieve, because we're ultimately, when we're setting out to achieve a goal, it's because we're really chasing the feeling that that's going to create for us.
Correct.
So I think, not just for entrepreneurs, but for everybody, like going, okay, cool. Well, if there was 100 things that I wanted to do in my lifetime, what would they be? Like, think really big. Like, is it to learn another language? Is it to run a marathon? Is it to like pick up some obscure sport like kite surfing, or, something that you'd have to really step out of your comfort zone to do? And Keith kind of talked about this idea that if you write them down, you're, infinitely more likely to achieve them. But I think even just going through the process of like, okay, well, if I wasn't spending all my time, money and energy owning and operating this business, what are the things that I would like to do? Even just going through that process can be quite confronting, and you might tap into something that you didn't know was there. Like, I didn't know that I really wanted to learn how to perfectly bake pavlova, or, I didn't know that I really wanted to learn, how to code, or how to, some obscure skill that doesn't necessarily connect to your business. But I think, going through the process of learning and creativity, and, it could be pottery, like you might find out that, hey, learning the process of taking something that has no shape into this beautiful thing that you can functionally use or enjoy in your life, all of the steps that you go through in that creative process, bring us immense amounts of joy, and the vase that sits on the mantelpiece isn't really what it's about, is it?
That's right. That's right. And possibly too, like, there's the opportunity for people that are in this position to go, okay, well, like, I'm looking to make an exit, or I'm looking to get some time back. So as human beings, we always feel what's available to us, and we always use what's available to us. And so if we start to create some change around looking for some of those hobbies, the kite surfing and things like that, is a potential good transition to start to prepare the mind, and start to prepare the body and the being to, I guess, latch onto or to build a relationship with something outside of the day-to-day operations of your business.
Yeah, and just, I guess, developing a relationship with something else that's important. Like, I want to do a 30-day yoga challenge. Like, start that, do it, like, commit to it. And then you've got a commitment that, and let your team know, like, that, your integrator know that I'm going to do this, and this is when it's going to start. And you'll have everybody rallying around, and all of a sudden there's something else in your life that is worth showing up for, right? Yeah. And gives you joy and challenges you and sparks creativity, other than just the sole identity of living, breathing, operating your business.
Yeah. Which, look, it's easy enough to get caught into. It's
totally
a highly resourceful way to gain variety, building and growing a successful business. What have been some of, or what's been the biggest challenge that you've had to overcome in your time of being in business, or working in roles of being integrated and so forth?
I think one of the biggest challenges is coming up against the continual new ideas. I think visionaries have a tendency to have so many ideas that they get themselves so excited about the most recent one, and it's not necessarily the best one.
Yeah.
So I think coming up against the conversation of, like, is that new idea in service of the actual big idea, or is that just another idea? So for me, one of the frustrating things is just having that conversation repeatedly, and that's just the nature of
that's the nature of the
that's
job.
the nature of the beast, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes that can be pretty tiring. We're like, all right, redirect. Does that still fit into the big picture? Does that still fit, or does that actually in a totally different picture altogether?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not to say it's a bad idea, but is it the right idea for right now?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. What do you think is the 3 bits of advice you could give to a visionary at any stage in business right now? Like, based on, you've worked with a lot and you've got a lot of skill set around that, whether they're looking to hire an integrator or not, like, what are 3 bits of advice you can give? And maybe it's comes from the consistent shortcomings that you see visionaries tend to have, because they're all wired similarly, right?
Yeah, and it's really beautiful. It's such a great personality type to get to spend a lot of time with, because it means that I think about how the world will be. It's not a concept, like, we will get there. And when you're surrounded with people who are thinking so big and so far into the future, you start to live it now, which is really cool. But I think one of those 3 big tips would be to stay on the same page with the integrator, or if you're without the integrator, the team. Then your integrator and your team are not in your head, that they can't possibly be. But if taking a slither of time, even once a month, to really get on the same page, what are the current hurdles, opportunities, obstacles, big ideas, and how does right now fit into the bigger picture? Just taking that opportunity to get back on the same page, get back on the same page, get back on the same page. Because a lot can happen in 30 days. Visionaries probably had 500 ideas in that last 30 days.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, so that's number 1. Number two is probably for the visionary themselves to make sure that they are connecting to the why, like, of that big idea. It's like, okay, cool, I've got this idea that I'm going to build this business and it's functionally going to do this and that, and we're going to help our clients achieve this or that. But like, why are you doing that? You know, why is that important to you? Why is that important to the world? Why is that important to your clients? Why is that important to your team? Like, find a way that, that a visionary can reconnect to that and regularly. Otherwise, it's so easy to kind of forget, like, well, hold on a second, why are we hustling this hard? Or why are we creating these products? Or why are we running this marketing campaign? Or why are we running this event? Like, link it back to the why. Like, and I know for a lot of entrepreneurs, it's because they believe that entrepreneurs will change the world. And I absolutely believe that. Yeah. But what's the why for the visionary?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that would be number two. So connect to the why and regularly. And I think it sounds probably a bit corny and a bit cheesy, but don't forget to have fun, like, in the process. Because it's, you know, as an entrepreneur or as a visionary, you didn't want to work for someone else. So you are your own boss. So why don't you make that a little bit of fun? So that looks different for all different types of personality types. It could be fun solo or fun with your team, but, you know, having those moments of connection with the people that you interact with, clients, customers, teams, stakeholders, have fun, make it fun. There's so much opportunity for things to be boring and bland and functional, but it actually, you know, if you take a little second to go, well, how can we make this more fun? How could this, you know, spark a little bit of joy? How could this be, you know, a real moment as opposed to a step in the process?
Yeah. So to recap, first one is, you know, keep your team on the same page. Be clear on where you're going, which kind of ties into number two, but be clear of where you're going. What's the end destination, and keeping your team on the same page. Like, is this thing that we're doing, or is this thing that we're implementing going to get us closer towards our end game, further away from it, have nothing to do with it altogether? Number two is obviously be clear as a visionary what your why is, which is super, super important. Like, why do you exist? Why do you do what you do? And your personal why could be very different to your business, or they could be the same as well. And number three, which I absolutely love, is around make sure that you have fun. I do meet a lot of business owners that have lost that. They've lost the love for their business. They've lost the drive for their business because business has gotten hard. Yet I think that most people are in business to create a better quality of life for themselves. And I think that, you know, fun should be a kind of basis for all activities as well. If we keep things fun and we keep things light, we're far more capable of being able to make the right decisions than if we get caught up in the emotions and caught up in, you know, all the stuff that tends to happen in business.
Yeah, and I'm a big believer that what gets celebrated gets repeated. You know, if you know, as simple as like training a dog, right? When they sit down and you give them a treat and you say sit and they get a treat, and they sit and they get a treat, all of a sudden you don't actually need the treat. Like, that behavior gets repeated.
Yeah.
So make that celebration fun and regular. You know, teams that you know, celebrate together, like, it brings so much joy and connection and variety and all those good feelings. So yeah, make it fun.
Wise words. Wise words. How can the viewers and listeners today reach out to you, get in contact, and want to find out a bit more about what you do, or ask you a bit more around this role between visionary and integrators?
Yeah, so I'm pretty easy to find. You can Google me and my contact details will come up. LinkedIn, Sammi Jaegar, SAMMIJAEGER, and that not the same as the Jägermeister Jaeger, slightly different. Sammi Jaegar on LinkedIn. Otherwise, I'm pretty active on Instagram. My handle is Sammi Somewhere, SAMMI Somewhere. Yeah, otherwise reach out, Google me, jump on my website and reach out, have a chat. There's a contact me button, and we can book a time.
Awesome.
Looking forward to chatting to some visionaries.
Yeah, so grateful to have you on the call today, and I trust that the guys and gals that listen to this have got a huge amount of value, and maybe a few light bulb moments around why they're doing what they're doing, or where their business is at right now, and potentially some next steps to get them moving forward. But I think without a doubt, like, adding fun back in your day will make the whole journey of being in business more enjoyable. I can testament that we've got a pretty successful business. We've got a lot of clients that have got very big successful businesses, and the challenges don't stop. You don't get to some holy precipice in your business and go, oh yeah, the challenges are just like, we're above challenges now. They don't stop. They're always going to be
They
there.
just get more complicated, right? You
Yeah.
just different problems, not no
Yeah.
problems.
And
Different.
I like to think though, you just get better at handling them, and bringing fun and joy into the situation certainly helps them to be handled in a more effective way.
Yeah, totally. That, and those things can be opportunities for growth too.
Definitely.
So yeah, make it fun.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time today, Sammi, and hopefully we look forward to having you on an episode again soon.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Barry.
If you're in a position that many of our clients were before joining us, which is that your business is controlling you rather than you controlling your business, we would love to have a chat to you to see whether or not we might be the right fit to partner with you to help you grow and succeed in business. And over the past 8 years, we've helped hundreds of business owners around the world to grow, scale, and succeed in business. Many of our clients report that we've helped them to triple their profits and double their time off in 12 months or less. If you jump onto YouTube and notice the hundreds of testimonies, you'd see that this is a common theme amongst them. If you're a business owner that's generating more than $300,000 a year in annual revenue, whether it's 500 million, 5 million, even $10 million a year, and you're looking to take your business and your life to the next level, we might be able to help. If you're noticing that your business is lacking structure, maybe systems or processes, maybe you're not quite attracting enough or the right type of quality leads, making enough sales, or maybe you're even having issues finding, hiring, retaining, and training the right team members, we could be a fit for you. Ultimately, we believe that we never have business problems, we have personal problems that are expressed through our business, and a lot of the work we do is with you as a business owner, helping you to constantly upgrade the way that you see life, the way that you make decisions, and the way that you help construct a profitable and purpose-driven business. In order for us to do that though, you need to book in a quick 15-minute application call with one of our scaling specialists here at the Game Changers. Through the 15-minute call, we're going to ask you a bunch of questions to see if or how we might better help you. If we can't help you, we'll let you know politely and do our best to point in the direction of someone that can. However, if we can help you, we'll look at booking you a 1-hour game plan session where we're going to dive a lot deeper into where you and your business are at right now, where it is that you want to go in the next 3, 5, and 10 years' time, and what are the potential roadblocks or challenges or even opportunities that are along the journey in order for you to get there faster. If you're really feeling that it's time for you to experience the love and the joy of running a business again, if you're really wanting to experience a business that does actually operate without you while still producing profit, we may very well be the right fit. So book in a 15-minute call, we can have a chat and see where we go from there. My name is Barry, and thanks for listening. Hopefully we get a chance to talk soon.